What's going on, YouTubers, investors, and traders? Welcome to the first ever podcast here by Boiler Room Trading. This would be episode 1. Today we're going to specifically talk about the legalization of marijuana in Canada and really just talk about what it could possibly do for some of the stocks here, what we have been seeing it do for some of the stocks here in the United States financial markets. We're also going to talk about a few key pointers for the Canadians and what it means for them, and just all around go over a little bit about this legalization. So first things first, today is 10/16/2018, so tomorrow is the big day for the legalization. So up until this point, there's been a lot of hype surrounding a bunch of the marijuana stocks. Specifically, many of you will know the stock Tilray, CGC, known as Canopy Growth, or Grow, and then also Cron, CRON. These have been three stocks that a lot of people have been solely focused on around the past couple months. And, well, the hype has lived up. There has been a lot of boom throughout a lot of these weed stocks, especially Canopy Growth, especially Tilray, and especially the stock Cron. What's interesting today is we've seen an extreme sell-off in all of these particular stocks. The company CGC is currently down about 6% on the day. The stock Tilray is currently down 4% on the day, and the stock Cron is currently down about 1% on the day is what it appears to be, but it still took a massive hit this morning from $13 all the way to a low of $11. If you're not familiar, if you're someone looking to get invested into some of these marijuana stocks or just trade them in general, it appears that the company CGC or Canopy Growth is like the leading industry, right, or leading stock in the industry, right? It's kind of similar to the stock market where you have the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, and a lot of the other, bigger cap stocks tend to follow the same trend and pattern as the big indexes. It's kind of like that for Canopy Growth, CGC. When CGC goes down, Cron goes down, and Tilray goes down. So it's somewhat of the same nature as the stock market. CGC is a stock that you would want to follow right now if you're planning on investing in Cron or even in, somewhat Tilray. Because whatever CGC tends to do, the other stocks tend to follow. But the reason is, why is that the case? And the reason that's the case is because right now, CGC is seen as the industry leader, the most legitimate company right now. It appears that they have a valuation of about $8 billion. They're very well, they have a lot of, grow stations in Canada. So as far as we can tell, Canopy Growth seems to be one of the most legitimate marijuana businesses out there, especially in Canada, right? So you have other ones like Aurora and you have ones like Tilray and Cron, but from what it sounds, CGC is the most well established at this point. They have a lot of grow ops, they have a lot of things in the pipeline, and so as of right now, it appears CGC is the industry leader. And with that being said, whatever CGC does, all the other stocks are tending to follow that same pattern, at least within the past couple weeks we have noticed. Many of you guys know of Tilray. Tilray was a stock that, went from like $20 from its IPO pricing all the way to $300, and then the bubble popped and it crashed all the way down to $150 intraday, settling at a low of about $90 before recovering a little bit and bouncing. So Tilray is definitely, in my opinion, still a bubble, and I would still beware. So some advice I would give to anybody getting into this market is you have to be very careful and tread very carefully because it's still a lot of speculation, okay? The weed industry, it's not yet fully established. There's still a lot of speculation in these stocks. There's tons of hype and it's tons of momentum, okay? Nothing yet is completely set in stone when it comes to these stocks, all right? For right now, leading up to this point and leading up to the legalization here tomorrow in Canada, it's all been speculation so far. There really is nothing to back most of it. Yeah, they have a nice company, but as of right now, it hasn't even been fully legalized. And a lot of companies we have seen recently have tried to hop on this wave of momentum. This is something that we've seen back when the blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin was in its bubble. This is something similar. back when Bitcoin was in its bubble and, XRP was going crazy and all these cryptocurrencies were going wild, what we seen was a massive influx of random penny stocks and random companies all of a sudden coming out with news saying that they are developing blockchain technology for their businesses. And next thing you know, every single day we'd wake up in the marketplace and we'd have 5 new penny stocks that have all entered into the blockchain cryptocurrency technology boom, and their stocks would fly. But it was all bull crap. It was all just a short-term pump trying to get the price of their stock higher, which it did work for short term, but quickly we realized that was all BS and many of them failed. Many of you guys listening to this podcast right now would know of the stock IGC, right? We've spoke about it on our pre-market watch list. We've traded it. We've nailed it. Boiler Room Trading gave it a price target of $4 or $5 when it was $14. A couple days later, it ended up dropping down to $4 or $5. Come to find, IGC is just a scam. They don't really have any headquarters set up. They claimed that they were going to be having their CBD-infused drinks manufactured out of Malaysia. And if you do any research on Malaysia, you'll come to find that marijuana is a highly scheduled or highly illegal drug to obtain and even have, and can, essentially result in the death penalty for having it. So the likelihood of the company CGC manufacturing CBD-infused drinks in Malaysia is highly unlikely. So we've seen a massive influx of new companies coming into the marijuana market, similar to what we've seen with the Bitcoin and tech blockchain boom. All right. So again, you do have to be a little careful and tread very carefully. And so there's a lot of hype revolving around this industry. So the best advice I could give to you is, before jumping the gun and just jumping in on this hype, you really have to do your research on which stocks you strongly feel will be here to weather this initial storm, right? It is expected that right now the whole marijuana industry can be valued at about $31 billion. So it's a very big opportunity here for the future to come. If you're not also familiar, CGC, back to CGC. It's one of the most, again, popular marijuana companies with about an $8 billion valuation currently, which I'm sure is going to be expect to grow here in the future. So one thing you do need to know about CGC is Constellation Brands had partnered up with them. If you're not familiar with Constellation Brands, they're basically in the liquor business. So put that 2 and 2 together. Put that together, right? Forever, liquor's been legal since the Prohibition Act, but liquor's been legal for a long time now. It's been an absolute, monstrous industry. Tons of sales, tons of money flowing into it. So if you think for just half a second here, it's not very tricky. If you have a big name spirits brand partnering up with a big name marijuana brand, you can clearly see that there is confidence within this marketplace. If a big liquor brand is going to team up with the marijuana brand, clearly there is definitely some confidence in this market. And I do believe that the marijuana industry is going to boom and there's going to be plenty of amazing stocks to trade, but I don't think you should just jump on the hype just because everyone's doing it. You do have to take some time to evaluate which companies you do believe will be the best in the future. And I will come on with another podcast and talk to you guys in the future about a few different companies once I evaluate them that I do feel are going to be some of the strongest players within the game. All right, so moving off topic here just a little bit, aside from the stock side, what does this mean for the Canadians, right? So we're going to have the legalization taking place tomorrow. What does it really mean? Just a few little things here. So a big question everyone was asking, would they be able to smoke marijuana or smoke weed in the open public? And that is a yes. If and when, which is tomorrow, the legalization of marijuana passes, you will actually be able to smoke in public and on streets in a few provinces. Not all, but majority of the provinces will allow users to recreationally smoke in the open public, in the streets, as you would if you were smoking cigarettes. Now, there is a few provinces that have stated that you're going to have to find a designated smoking area, which they had quoted as toke zones, ironically. So again, so it's not, can't just walk around smoking a joint everywhere you would please, but in majority of the provinces, you will be able to do that. There's been another question that has been brought up. Will restaurants and will just, like cafes be able to sell marijuana, or can you use them there? And that is a no. As of right now, restaurants and cafes, like you would see in Amsterdam, are not able to sell or produce marijuana at this given time. So where can you go to buy it if you're a Canadian? Really, the only places you're going to be able to buy them are government-ran online stores and shops, and a few private shops. You will be able to go and purchase them. So it's not a full-blown thing where you can go into any single store and just buy marijuana when you want. As of right now, it seems that they're going to have a little bit of control on it in terms from the government side. So you're going to have online shopping stores, you can get it, and there's going to be a few, I don't really want to say a few, but there's going to be plenty private companies that will be able to sell it, okay? So another interesting thing here is there's always been a question of, if marijuana becomes legal, what's it going to do to the black market? As many of you guys know, many people, illegally sell marijuana. I mean, we all know it, right? So what's that going to do for the black market? And here's the funny thing is, there's always been this argument that the black market's going to be here to stay for the marijuana business. And I always had this outlook that it won't, because if marijuana becomes full-blown legal, just think about it like liquor. How many people do you see that produce their own liquor and sell it? Not many. Nobody really does. We just go to the liquor store to buy it because of the convenience sake. And that's going to happen to marijuana. Okay, marijuana through full-blown legalization will eventually push out the black market. Currently, they are stating that they're planning on having grams for sale in Canada around $7 or less. And what this is doing is they're trying to push out the need for a black market in the marijuana industry. So if you think about that, if they're going to be able to hopefully successfully push out the need for a black market industry in marijuana, that is just going to add to the amount of sales that these private shops and online stores are selling, which in return will create more revenue and more growth for any of these private businesses or publicly traded companies like CGC and Tilray and things like that, right? So if we can eliminate the black market, no need for the sales there, all the sales will come flooding into these government stores. Now, Canada did also say that with the taxes that are going to be imposed on the marijuana sales, they do believe that this is going to dramatically help balance their budget sheet. So that's a plus for the Canadians and the government over there. Doesn't really do a whole lot for us here in America, but that's all right. So all in all, legalization coming tomorrow. What we have seen before the legalization is a massive sell-off in all these stocks. So if I had to give my professional opinion on this, I believe this was an act of buy the rumor and sell the news type thing. We all knew the legalization was coming. We've seen these stocks ramping up. And to be completely honest, I didn't really ride much of the wave long term. I just, played in and out trades, some scalp trades, some long trades here and there, but I didn't really ride the whole wave of the marijuana market just because, I would like to see some more stability there. I would like to see what's to come when the full legalization comes through and which companies are going to be here to last. And as many of you guys know, I do believe the stock market as a whole is extremely overvalued right now, and we're heading towards a big recession. So, if we are heading towards a big recession, marijuana or not, those stocks are going to come down with it too, okay? Everything will take a hit when we go through recessions, one way or the other. So I do believe what we have seen here in the marijuana stocks here just today, with legalization coming tomorrow, you would think with the whole legalization coming tomorrow that these marijuana stocks would boom today. They did the exact opposite. They all just tanked. And I do believe this is one of those scenarios of buy the rumor, which it really isn't a rumor. I mean, it is happening tomorrow. So it just plays into that idea of buy the rumor and sell the news. These stocks have ramped up to extreme highs here over the past couple days. So to not sell off, why not? There's been plenty of money made in these stocks, so I do believe we're seeing the buy the rumor, sell the news. We've seen a massive sell-off. I do believe there might be a slight pickup tomorrow in these stocks, but again, even with the legalization fully going through, it doesn't really do anything in terms of these companies tomorrow, okay? Cool, marijuana gets legalized, but it doesn't actually do anything for the companies right now, tomorrow, okay? Their stock price could go up, but their stock price would only go up due to speculation of or speculative investing, anticipating that in the future, right, they're going to have more revenue coming in, better earnings. So, what I would say my outlook on all these weed stocks would be cool, legalization's taking place. Let's follow them. Okay, let's keep a good eye on them over the next couple months until we get into our next earnings play, or not really into our next earnings season, until we see earnings reports on these stocks. I think that the next, upcoming, this most recent upcoming earnings, and then the next few to come. So I think the next 2 or 3 earnings are going to play a dramatic effect on these marijuana stocks, because with the legalization going through, we should see some of these sales increase in terms of many of these different marijuana stocks, Canopy Growth and Cron and Tilray. So we should see some sales coming their way, and I think that should positively affect their books, and we should see that on the next couple upcoming earnings reports. And after that point, I think I would feel a little bit safer putting some money into these stocks. But again, we'll see. Time will tell. So thank you guys once again for tuning in to Boiler Room Trading's first ever podcast. Please let me know what you guys think here in the comment section below. If there's anything you guys would like me to do a podcast or cover, feel free, leave it in the comment section below, and I will try to get around to doing that for you. As always, thank you guys once again for tuning in. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe before you head out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.